Daryl the Guru Johnson, 95.7 The Game, and we touched a little bit on the Warriors situation, and obviously we touched on the situation going on with Jonathan Kuminga.
Kuminga watch.
What's today? Do we know?
It's like day 41, I think, or something like that.
43. I think 43.
Day 43. Talking about Jonathan Kuminga. Now, got a little news to it because over the weekend, Anthony Slater, I believe he wrote a piece talking about Jonathan Kuminga, where he stands, what he's looking for with his NBA career. And he made the statement, Jonathan Kuminga, that he believes, according to representatives, actually, this wasn't a quote, I don't think, but according to his representatives, he believes he's on the same level as guys like Scotty Barnes and Cade Cunningham. Me and Kyle talked about this a little bit over the weekend. I understand what Jonathan Kuminga's thinking, and at least in one case, I probably agree with it. But what do you think when you hear him say something like that? What do you think of Jonathan Kuminga, his camp, and the way they kind of view themselves as NBA players right now?
Yeah, it's a really, really interesting situation because, you know, he has all that talent, but talent doesn't mean anything in the NBA if you don't translate it to productivity. And, you know, we can sit here and talk about what he's looked like in games where, you know, they needed him, what he looked like in the playoff series where, you know, he became one of the primary scorers. But the fact is, like, he has not been able to do that for, you know, 65, 70 games in a season. And not only has he not been able to do it, but the Golden State Warriors have not trusted him to do that. And at some point, you have to actually prove that you're one of those guys. Saying it is fine, and thinking that you're one of those guys is fine. But the fact is, like, almost every player in his draft, at least in the top 8, all have contracts except for him and Josh Giddey. And, you know, part of it is that they got into this restricted free agent like mess. But also, like, part of it is that the other guys have performed, and they've performed on a consistent level. And, you know, we had this weekend also, we found that Ron Kroichik from the San Francisco Chronicle, he wrote about this exact thing where, you know, again, he compared himself to Cade Cunningham and Scotty Barnes. And even like Franz Wagner got brought up in this. And, you know, Franz Wagner's the pick after Kuminga, and he's already got his contract. But Stan Van Gundy went on the record talking to Ron Kroichik and said, I would say Wagner is a winning player, and also Cade Cunningham and Barnes. I'm not sure about Kuminga. I don't see the overall understanding of the game that allows him to fit other guys and help him play well on both ends. And I agree with that, but I also understand that there's another side of this, that he might not have had that opportunity to do this.
Yeah, that's the sorry, I thought James froze for a second. That's the hang up I have with this. And Kenny, we texted a little bit about this, but you've got Scotty Barnes the last 2 years averaging 19 points, 8 boards, 6 assists. Mm-hmm. Cade Cunningham was a top 7 in MVP voting this year. Mm-hmm. I think that what Van Gundy said, that understanding of the game, that feel, I've just never seen that from Kuminga. You see the raw scoring ability, the elite athleticism and scoring ability. But what makes Scotty Barnes, and I'm going to leave Cade Cunningham out of this, what makes Scotty Barnes different is that ability to, like, a ball is in his hands. He's going to distribute. He's going to go get those rebounds. He's going to score a little bit. He's going to play great defense. I see where the Kuminga has the tools to do that. I have never seen that put into practice ever at any kind of high level. And I think that's why there's all these questions about him.
And I think it's fair to compare him to Jalen Green, because I think we all look at Jalen Green as, like, really crazy, incredible, like, potential. Mm-hmm. And even some of it is realized, but not all of it. And you're just waiting for that moment where it all comes together. but like 4 years in, it usually doesn't change. Like the opportunities change. And like even within the same franchise, opportunities can change for a player. But for him to be all of a sudden like 4 years into his career and keep saying that he's something that he just hasn't proven that he is, that's the tough thing. And earlier, I compared him a lot to Marvin Bagley, and Bagley was never able to prove that he was that guy. But like you could see the potential of Marvin Bagley every time he stepped on the court. Like again, like you were just waiting for this light bulb to go on when he became like an elite player at the NBA level, and the potential has always been there. The length, the athleticism, the leaping ability, the left-handed scoring ability, the rebounding ability, it's all there. But that doesn't mean anything. There is a long list of players who had all of this ability who never made it. We talked about Derek Williams, the Coke machine. We talked about Jabari Parker. There are guys that even if they put up one season of this, you got to prove that that's who you are. And that's why I think when he says that he considers himself in the Scotty Barnes or the Cade Cunningham realm, hey man, you're just not being realistic with who you've shown that to be so far. And you might have that potential, but again, potential is a 4-letter word in the NBA. Like there's a lot of guys who never even come close to reaching their potential, who have just as much skill or talent as Jonathan Kuminga. And it's about finding your niche, playing to your strengths, and growing into a role. And he has fought that the entire time he's been in the league.
I'll address Cade Cunningham in a second, because I think that's a little bit of a different situation. But why wouldn't he not look at Scotty Barnes and say, I can do everything that I'm in that category? What has Scotty Barnes done, given the fact that he's had the opportunity to make him think I'm not better than Scotty Barnes?
Well, first of all, Scotty Barnes is twice the defender that he is. Secondly, Scotty Barnes is a much, much, much better passer. You can run your entire offense through Scotty Barnes. You cannot do that with Jonathan Kuminga unless your idea is for him to shoot 25 times a game. Like if you're going to run the ball through him, he's got to show that he's got something other than just being able to score for himself.
Left to his own vices, Scotty Barnes' teams have won 25 and 30 games. They're not good. And I'm not saying that's his fault, but if I'm Jonathan Kuminga, I'm looking at the situation. I can do that. I can score and average 20 a night and we not be any good.
I don't doubt that. And I don't necessarily disagree. The problem I have, and I'm fully in agreement with James here. If he was going to be, he had the opportunity to be that player in Golden State. He had the opportunity to be that guy. And he didn't. He didn't want to pass and make the right pass and rebound and play awesome defense and be that dude. He had the chance. If he was the player that Scotty Barnes is, he would have gotten a massive contract extension 2 years ago or a year ago.
They wouldn't take him off the court.
Right. He'd play all the time.
That's fair. But when he talked to, I'm looking at, and I think he may be looking at right now, Scotty Barnes with nobody around. When he was doing that other stuff, like winning Rookie of the Year, having a great rookie year, he had Pascal, Fred VanVleet, and OG Anunoby right there with him. Now people would say, Jonathan Kuminga, you got those type of guys in Golden State. You could play that role and have been Scotty Barnes and gotten your extension and all this other stuff, which is cool. But what Kuminga may be looking at it is, when you took those guys away from him and you said Scotty Barnes go be the franchise, this team has won 25 games, 30 games in back-to-back seasons. They're probably going to win another 30-something games this year. And we're praising Scotty Barnes for putting up stats on a team that's no good, where I would get criticized for that. I can do what Scotty Barnes is doing right now.
Yeah, and look, I think it kind of plays into this question by Mr. Rancho. So why do we want him so bad? And the thing is that every situation in the NBA is different. And, yes, Scotty Barnes is winning 25, 30 games. He also doesn't have Hall of Famers all around him. He doesn't have Steph Curry. He doesn't have Jimmy Butler. He doesn't have Draymond Green. He doesn't have like a veteran core that was together forever. Even you can throw Looney in there. Like Scotty Barnes has had to freelance a little bit, but he's surrounded by players that, are like, for lack of, they're just not the Golden State Warriors. They're not a championship contending team with him, and they're not a championship contending team without him. And that's, I think, the biggest difference. And you could also say, like, you put Scotty Barnes on the Golden State Warriors. Scotty Barnes,
Holy smokes.
holy cow. He's averaging 20, he's averaging 10, and he's averaging eight assists a game.
That's fine. And Jonathan Kuminga might feel like I can do the same thing. I'm just not given the opportunity. But here's the
They
thing.
have identical usage rates the last 2 years.
But
That's wild.
Here's the deal. This goes back to what he said. Jonathan Kuminga is like, I'm on the same level of these guys. And I'm just assuming what his thought process is. I can be Scotty Barnes. He's on a sorry.
Then why hasn't he been Scotty Barnes?
Because he hadn't played. The Toronto gave Scotty Barnes everything he could ask for. The keys to it. Don't worry about if we're good or not. Just play and get your numbers. Kuminga's like, I can do that. I can do what Scotty Barnes is doing.
Then why hasn't he?
Steve Kerr won't put him in the game.
He has. He doesn't play because he doesn't do those things though.
Scotty,
yeah,
he puts up the numbers when he plays, right?
Mm-hmm.
He scores, he does all this other stuff. Scotty Barnes, we talk about all that he does as far as defending. He's a great defender. All this other stuff. He's a good enough scorer. He can pass the ball. All this other stuff. It's not resulting in winning. What Jonathan Kuminga is saying is, I can put up all those numbers if I play 35 minutes a night, and it doesn't matter if we score or not, or we win or not. I can do that. And he's got a good point. People get mad at him. Guru talked about it right now. They talk about the playoffs. This man went into the playoffs and was putting up 25, 30 a night.
And scoring points and doing nothing else.
And that's a criticism.
Mm-hmm.
When Scotty Barnes does that, you're crazy for being on Scotty Barnes, saying you're on his level.
But it's not about putting the ball in the hoop. It's the play style. It's getting teammates involved.
It's also about winning.
It's doing the little things.
It's about winning. And to be honest with you, to be fair to the conversation, do we look at those playoff games and say they didn't win because Jonathan Kuminga scored 30?
No, definitely not.
They had a chance to win both of those games while Kuminga was scoring 30. They just didn't get it done. But it wasn't like he was a ball hog and playing selfish basketball, and that's why they lost those games. Two of those games were just close. The other two, they kind of got blown out here.
Yeah, Kenny, I think the reason, to get back to the question that we had from the chat, the reason why the Kings are intrigued, or will at least go down this path, is because there is the what if that you keep bringing up. What if you do give him more of an opportunity? What if you do ask him to do different things? And what if he does do those things? And what if he becomes the player that he believes? And that's the only reason why you're risking a 3-year, $63 million deal here if you're the Kings, because you're thinking the same way that he is, that, hey, there's potential for him to be that guy. But again, at some point, the potential, that you got to start producing, and producing in a way that, again, makes it so your coach can't take you off the court. The one thing I will, in defense of him, I'll tell you, and this isn't about him as much as it is about Moody, but it shows you sort of the pathway that I think that they both have run into, Moody and Kuminga, is it doesn't really matter how good Moses Moody is on the court. He doesn't get to play. You know how many times I've seen him finish a game against the Sacramento Kings where he scored 15 points in 15 minutes? And it's like, what are you doing? Like, every time he's on the court, he looks incredible. Why do you pull him? And so there is sometimes, I will agree, there is no rhyme or reason to what Steve Kerr has done here, at least from the outside. From the inside, they see everything that these players do. They see how hard they work. They see how many times they go out and don't get enough sleep before a game. You know, they see whether they hit the gym and do the workout stuff that they're asking them to do, whether they work with their teammates or work with the coaching staff to get better. They see everything. And sometimes that's the biggest, like, sign. And it's also why some players, it doesn't matter what they're scoring and their numbers look like, good or bad, teams won't trade them because they know how valuable some of these players are that do all of those things and set examples or live by the right code. And so again, the Warriors know more about Kuminga than anyone outside of Kuminga, but they've held him back. And I think we all want to see what it looks like when he's not being held back. And it could just be like a complete disaster.
And real quick, because I want to answer to that. That's my premise of what I'm saying is I understand how he feels that way and why he feels that way. Is he right? That's obviously up for debate. I'm not here to debate whether he's right or wrong. But specifically looking at Scotty Barnes, he's looking at Scotty Barnes in Toronto and how they haven't been a winning team, how Scotty Barnes, who is a fantastic player, looks like that's not a franchise guy. You're going to need one or two guys better than him if you want to be a top flight team. Maybe one guy, maybe not two guys, but one guy for sure. And Kuminga's looking at it like, yeah, I could do that. Let's just say, for instance, Sacramento, for argument's sake. I could go to Sacramento, average 20, and we win 35 games. I can do that. The Cade thing is a little different because Cade is a leader. Cade is a guy that lifts an entire franchise and lifts the players around him. And to me, that's a little ambitious of him to say I could be like Cade Cunningham because Cade Cunningham has so much more responsibility and has lived up to it at least this past season that I haven't even seen Scotty Barnes do. I think they're on two different levels, Cade Cunningham and Scotty Barnes and Jonathan Kuminga. Like I think they're different. So I don't necessarily see where he could feel that way with everything that Cade brings to the table. But I can understand that with looking at Scotty Barnes' situation.
No, I don't. I want you to answer this. Not could he, would he? Do you think? Do you think Jonathan? Do you think Jonathan Kuminga, if given? So this is Scotty Barnes per 36 numbers. Do you think he would do this given 35 to 36 minutes a night with the Kings, or 34 to 36, whatever? 21 points, 9 boards, 6 assists. 1.5 steals, 1.1 blocks.
The points, yes.
Sure.
The boards a little lower, the assist a little lower, and I think Scotty Barnes is a better defender than Jonathan Kuminga. So
what's Kuminga's per 36?
This past season, 22.6 points, 6.8 boards, 3.3 assists, 1.2 steals, 0.7 blocks.
I actually think that's about right. I think that's where I'd have him. And all the numbers outside of the points are a little lower than Scotty Barnes, but I think they're in the same vicinity. And once again, Scotty Barnes is a better defender than Jonathan Kuminga.
And a much better passer, a much better creator for others.
That's where assists go down.
I think if you swapped them, I think the Warriors are way better. And I think Scotty Barnes plays a lot.
I think he does too. I don't think Scotty Barnes is putting up the numbers that he's putting in Toronto, though. I think he's more around with all those guys that they have, like the Jimmy Butlers and all this other stuff. I think
they might not trade for Jimmy Butler if they have Scotty Barnes.
That's true too.
Yeah.
It's a play style thing more than a production thing for me.
I agree. But like I said, the whole argument though is I understand Kuminga feeling that way about Scotty Barnes.
Yeah, I could see it.
I get it
for sure.
I don't see it as much with Cade, but I can see it with Scotty Barnes.
Yeah, and I would say that Cade, Scotty Barnes, and Kuminga are on 3 different levels. It's Cunningham, then it's Scotty Barnes, and then it's Kuminga.
Why is Scotty Barnes on that level?
What do you mean? He ahead of Kuminga?
What has he done in this league? Outside of the rookie year when he was playing with other top flight players.
He's an elite defender at 6'9" who has six assists per game and 8 rebounds and 20 points.
What? Because this is the thing we talk about. We talk about Trae Young not being a winning player. We talk about people not being winning players all the time. I think Scotty Barnes is, but we can't pick and choose when wins matter.
Well, no, I regardless of what I think about the stats that Trae Young puts up, Trae Young is still a top 6 point guard. Trae Young is still way better than Dennis Schroeder. Like that, it's just straight up. Like he's a better player, and he's a better player than Darius Garland. Now, whether he fits better or not, that would be a whole different discussion. But like as far as like a better player, like that doesn't mean that I want to trade for Trae Young and pay him $60 million a year. It's tough.
So your argument is not that the Kings might be getting Scotty Barnes. Because I don't think Jonathan Kuminga is ever going to play that way.
No.
No, I don't think he's going to play that way.
Okay.
I just think that Scotty Barnes is best served with. I'll be because I like his skill set with one other player that's better than him around him. You could say two, but
yeah,
I think with one other player that's better around him, like clearly better, I think that's where you get the best out of Scotty Barnes. Other than that, like in this situation, like you ask him to lead a franchise, he's leading it into the ground.
He was
not him specifically, but
15, 7.5, 3.5 as a rookie on a team that won 48 games.
Mm-hmm.
That's really impressive.
The fourth best player on that team. He was in that rookie of the year, deservedly so, with his defense as well. That you don't always get the numbers to quantify what he does on the defensive end. I think he's a prototypical defender in 2025, perimeter defender.
That Raptors teardown was crazy. This is a little bit separate from the conversation, but if you go to the next year, the 22-23 season, yikes.
And that's why, like we talk about this all the time, but the talent around you matters. It doesn't matter how good you are. Like very few players have like transcendent talent that can like make up for the fact that your roster is trash. Like the biggest, like the only one I can remember that just you take everything else and throw it out the window. Like the fact that LeBron James was able to lead a team to like a Eastern Conference championship and make it to the finals with like, what is it? Mo Williams is the second best player, and nobody else on that team that was not even Mo Williams. No one was an all-star. No one was even remotely close to all-star level. Like that's one player in the league that can do that. I don't think there's another player that can do that in the league. And, we can blame Scotty Barnes for the fact that his team doesn't win 48 games anymore, but like you have to have talent around you to win. It's a 5-man sport on the court and you need more than 5 to do it. You've got to have a bench. You've got to have depth.
I don't blame Scotty Barnes at all for that. But for instance, we blame Zach LaVine for not winning in Chicago and saying he's not a winning player. And that's all I'm saying. I want to be clear. I don't blame Scotty or Zach LaVine because I agree with James. There are different circumstances in every situation that can lead to your winning or losing. But when we talk about Zach LaVine, he's a selfish, non-winning player. But when we talk about Scotty Barnes, who hasn't won by himself, it's not looked at the same way.
I don't think of Zach as a selfish player. But whether he wins or not, I mean, he's 11 seasons into his career. He's been to the playoffs once. Like
once again, is that his fault?
It's not his fault every single time, but that doesn't mean that like accumulation that part of it isn't his fault. Like I don't know.
Yeah, there's a lot of I don't know. I don't want to turn this into a discussion about how we talk about sports necessarily, but I do think there is something to, we do this in hoops a lot, but in the NFL, we've been talking about it today with Nick Bosa and like, you need to go take over a game. There are so many things that impact what player wins and what player loses and good quarterbacks versus bad quarterbacks. And I really think that there's something to trying to assign wins and losses to individuals and like winning players versus not winning players. But at the same time, with players like Zach LaVine, it's like, all right, he's put up these awesome numbers. He's been super efficient, but to what end? It's tough for me to get to the, because I say that all the time. Like, well, that guy's just not a winning player. It's like, why? Well, like there's usually more context, I don't know.
Well, that, and like I've told you guys this, if Zach LaVine made 35 million or 30 million, I don't think anyone would have any problems with who he is as a player. It's that when you make 49 million, then all of those numbers, like then we start digging into how many playoff games you've been to. And like, because those numbers are just like, it's astronomical amounts of money. And that's usually a superstar. It's a star level player, multi-time, a perennial all-star that is in the playoffs a lot and does things. And that's where I think Zach gets kind of like, he gets beat up a little bit, because it's just like, hey man, if you're going to make that money, you do have to have an impact on whether your team, how deep your team goes into the playoffs, let alone making the playoffs.
It is the nature of the beast. Got contracts that are available to the public. So it happens, man. Let's talk about Sacramento sports here in the city. Sac State football. My main man, Jake Gayden, breaking news left and right. I'm up here trying to champagne and campaign. All I know, I go to Twitter, and Jake he's dropped the bomb on everybody here with Sac State, man. Jake, what's up, man? CBS 13, what's good?
Yo, Damien's not here today. You're going to talk about his Raiders? Is that chill?
No, he's not a Raider fan. He likes.
Hey, I saw is Damien getting a new job? By the way, I saw him put on Instagram today that he's trying out for a trucker's license now. Is that Damien's side hustle now?
I don't know. I can neither confirm nor deny.
We're not at liberty to discuss.
I heard that license B certificate is not the easiest thing to get. So, wish you the best of luck, DLo. We love you for it.
Make sure you tap in with Damian Barling if you are looking for that, though. He'll guide you.
He'll set you up.
Yeah.
I might be hitting him up.
Well, times are hard. I might be too. Doing the show on the road like a Madden cruiser. Jake, what's up, man? Hey, so all right, what's going on here, man? Sac State, Cal Expo. What have you heard? Just reiterate what you've heard, and then I want to get your thoughts on how you think that might play out.
So we dropped a bomb from left field over on Saturday, because I don't think really many people were thinking about it. And this has been in talks for the past couple of weeks. Sac State, of course, announced last year that they wanted to get a new stadium or build and renovate a new stadium on campus at Hornet Stadium. They had some renderings they put out last year, got everyone excited about it, trying to raise some money. And now it looks like they're calling an audible and are now linking up possibly with Cal Expo. The reason for it is this. So Cal Expo last March ended horse racing at their horse track on the Cal Expo campus. So that lot right now is vacant. Nothing's there. Like if you ever attended a horse racing event there, like it just doesn't look the same. It's basically abandoned. So Cal Expo doesn't have anybody using that facility right now. Sac Republic, as you guys probably saw today, had their groundbreaking for their new stadium in the rail yards. They will be leaving Heart Health Park by the end of 2026. That new stadium is going to be built at the beginning of 2027 for their new season. So because of that, Cal Expo now has two tenants that are no longer going to be there. And they would like to find someone to team up with to be able to have a tenant there so they can generate money. Cal Expo is a state entity. Sac State's a state entity. So the thought process is now, hey, let's try to build a stadium with the grandstands that they already have over at Cal Expo on that horse racing track and try to make it a premier football stadium, but also just an entertainment venue in general. I've been told that, yes, it's primarily going to be made for football, but don't be surprised if somehow or another it's also used for an entertainment area as well, for concerts in the park in the summer and everything like that. They're trying to make this a multi-purpose use stadium, mainly though for Sac State, and making it up to snuff that it can fit over 40,000 people in the stadium, right? So it's the ability to be able to move to the FBS ranks and have that meet the requirements to move to the FBS. I will also say this, though, guys. These talks are very much in the early stages. This is not something that's going to be pulled off tomorrow. They have a meeting set for August 28th to discuss it at the end of the month. This is something that makes sense from both sides. Cal Expo needs to be able to build. Have a tenant there and put something new there. And Sac State just doesn't have the room nor the finances to be able to build a new stadium on campus at Sacramento State. The other thought process is with the Hornet Stadium is they have a state-of-the-art track and field program over there that they want to redo the track over there and be able to host, NCAA tournaments and NCAA regionals like they used to over at Sacramento State. And then they also want to use the parking lot that they have for the stadium to be able to possibly expand the well and make it an actual full-on Division One basketball arena, something that they already have in the plans for as well. And they just don't have the room on campus to be able to build that with the stadium that they have right now. So the thought process is moving the stadium off campus to be able to not only expand for their other sports, but then also to be able to team up with a state entity to get state money to be able to build a state-of-the-art multi-purpose use stadium at Cal Expo to fill the need for Cal Expo and also give something that the fans at Sac State want, which is a new stadium, and they've been yearning for it for years now.
Talking with Jake Gaden from CBS 13, how much of this is driven by that potential move to the FBS?
I think that's probably the catalyst for it, but they need a new stadium, Kyle. Like that has to happen. Like they're pumping $5 million into it this year. There's going to be new lights at Hornet Stadium, new concessions, new bathrooms, and everything like that. But we all have been at Hornet Stadium. It's a beautiful place, don't get me wrong, but it is not up to snuff in terms of if you want to be at the FBS level. So I think that has to do with it. You know, there's some may argue that Hughes Stadium might be better than Hornet Stadium sometimes, just because of the lack of amenities that they have at the stadium. So no matter what, Hornet Stadium and Sac State football needed a new stadium. If it was going to be redone or renovated, that was on one option. Now the other option really looks like building a brand new one at Cal Expo, and I think that's the better option at this point.
Ideally, I would love to have a football stadium on the campus of Sac State. I know alumni and students would want that. That should be the first option. It feels like that was the first option. They looked into it, and that might be a little bit more difficult than people realize. So you got to pivot a little bit. And I think that's what this is. This is a pivot, and I think it's a great pivot. I think that Cal Expo location, that the horse racing track gives you so much room to build up the type of stadium that you want and that you think would be feasible for possible FBS jump for college football. And I know a lot of people want it on campus, but it is only about 3.5 miles away from Sac State. So it's still in a general area. You can get students there if you want to do a shuttle, if you want to do multiple shuttles throughout the day on game days. There's Ubers, there's Lyft, there's students who actually drive who can get there. And I think it's a great pivot. It's not the first thing I would want. I'd want it on campus, but money-wise and space-wise, I just don't know how feasible it is to have something on campus.
I was going to say, Kenny, like it's so close to the university. Anybody who's saying that it's going to be a schlep to get over there, man, you still have to Uber from one part of campus to the other to get to Hornet Stadium at this point right now. So, okay, maybe you take a 5-minute longer Uber to get over there, but I think Sac State's going to be able to provide buses and transportation to get over there. The other things that I keep on hearing, well, there's not enough parking at Cal Expo. Well, they're not going to take the whole entire horse racing track. That horse racing track is massive, massive. They're going to be able to have parking around that new stadium if they're thinking about it. The one thing that does concern me, and this is what I see when I'm at Sac Republic games, is there's no tailgating allowed at Cal Expo prior to Sac Republic games. And when I mean by tailgating, I mean like actually drinking outside the stadium. I think that's something that's going to have to be looked at if you're going to host a football game there, because half of football is the tailgating prior to it. Ask Buffalo Bills fans. They're very passionate about it. So I think those are the things that I've been hearing, negative-wise in terms of the feedback I've gotten is it's too far away from campus, not enough parking, we can't drink at games. Like all those things are so minuscule and so small. I don't think it's going to change the game day atmosphere that you're going to have being on campus or being off campus. Yes, like you said, I agree with you, Kenny. Would it be great to walk from your dorm to Hornet Stadium? Yeah, that'd be great. But I don't. It's not like we're having going to Temple and going to play at Lincoln Financial Field, right? That's a 35-minute trip. My brother went to University of Miami, had to go watch the games at Hard Rock. That's a 35-minute trip. He still did it as a student, right? Mm-hmm. Not great, and I think that affected the fan base a good amount, especially earlier on in the season. I still don't think it's going to affect Sac State. It's a 10-minute drive, fam. Like if you have an issue with that, maybe you're really not a true Sac State fan.
That's a wild thing to say. I also don't think I also don't think that the mocking voice is necessarily the correct way to go about this. I think parking is a legit concern. I think getting there is a legit concern. I think no drinking in the parking lot, no tailgating. You're going to tell a bunch of college kids, yeah, hey, come enjoy this, and you don't get to tailgate. I think those are legit things. I don't think that's a crazy. They might be hurdles that can be overcome, but I think the mocking voice. I don't think that's fair, Jake.
Okay, well, here's the thing, though, Kyle. Those are small, minuscule things when it comes to being able to expand on campus. So I ask you this: if you want to keep it on campus, what are you going to do about the basketball?
Jake, I'm not. No, I'm not. That's not the argument.
What's the argument?
Is that I think those are legitimate concerns, and I think the mocking voice is unfair by you.
Okay, well, you can't have everything. Like nothing's ever going to be perfect for someone. That's my argument. It's like, hey, like, I understand and I hear you, but those are small, minuscule things when it comes to a big picture situation. Like this is what frustrates me, Kyle, I'll be honest with you, about Sacramento in general. I love living here in Sacramento, but people pick on the small things instead of looking at the big picture and what it can do. Like, yes, you can't drink. Yes, parking can be a concern, but those are things that could definitely be fixed by small different changes that Cal Expo and Sac State can work together. It's just those are not the issues. The issues that you should be worried about is there funding for this? Can this funding thing can happen? How quickly it can get off the floor? And if it doesn't work out at Cal Expo, where else do you turn? Because it doesn't seem like there's any other options aside from maybe going to Hughes Stadium, but I don't know, you can't really play there. Like they're running out of options here to make this thing happen. So like my frustration with Sac is like, hey, think big picture. All right. What could this bring to the community? It's not just football. It's a multi-purpose use stadium. And I think this is something that is exciting for the city to grow it, because what is over there right now in Arden that you're excited about? Like, tell me, as a Sacramento guy, what is exciting over at Arden?
I like what's my the fish and grill place.
There's Canes over there. I like Canes.
Oh, Canes, yeah.
I got one.
You're talking about California Fish Grill?
Yes.
Good spot.
California
really good
Fish Grill
spot.
is hella good.
R.I.P. to the Dome Theaters, though.
Oh, R.I.P. But they got new Ricos over there.
Mm-hmm. That's a
and a Nordstrom Rack.
Yeah, big time.
That's the point, Jake. That's the point. That's the point.
I think one of the interesting things for me is how much, like, I get the interesting wasn't the right word. One of the questions for me, because I went to Sac State when there was no appetite for football at all. When I went there, I went to all the games. It was very sparse, the crowd. And so the thing I'm having a hard time wrapping my head around, and I think a lot of people would have a hard time wrapping their head around, is you're talking a 40,000 seat stadium. That feels very ambitious for a team that in my pretty recent memory couldn't sell out 25,000 seats at their current stadium. Not even close. So that's one of the things that kind of raises my eyebrows, less in that, oh, should they do this? Should they not? I wish they had invested more in football when I was there. I love seeing all the things they're doing to invest in athletics now. The question for me is there any concern that a 40,000 seat stadium is going to look ridiculous compared to the crowd they draw?
You're not wrong on that. And I think that starts and ends with Dr. Luke Wood, the president of Sacramento State, of how ambitious he wants to get. Again, no one was clamoring for them to move to the FBS. This was the decision that he thought was best for the university, and still believes it, because he believes athletics is the doorstep to the university to help the university grow. And he thinks athletics is a big generator in terms of financial gain within the university. So that, he's thinking big picture, right? He's thinking that in 5 to 10 years, this could be one of the major universities in Northern California. But I'm with you though. Like, I look around the country in all these different areas. College athletics is not center stage in Sacramento, or even in NorCal, or really California in general, unless you want to argue USC and UCLA. When you look at like Georgia or Texas, or I'm talking like blue bloods, thoroughbreds, like that's what you do on a Saturday. You go to the UT game, you go to the UGA game. Even in Arizona, there's the Arizona State, the Territorial Cup, Colorado and Boulder, like same exact thing. I wonder what the appetite is here, because like even in Nevada, where they play University of Reno, like UNR, like they don't sell that thing out, right? So like it is a very interesting question on how much college athletics can grow in Northern California, because I look at it and I say it's not the same compared to the Southwest or the Southeast or even the Northeast or even the Midwest, wherever you want to call it. California, just in general, is a pro sports state. And unless you take out, the SDSUs, the USC, the UCLAs of the world, like, not many people are excited. Like, look at Stanford right now, guys. You see what's going on over there? They had to do budget cuts because they're not filling Stanford Stadium anymore. Yeah. Cal is, the first 3 games, people show up to Cal football, and then it's empty after they go 3-9, right? So it's like there's the fan base for it is very much of a question mark of, do people have appetites for college athletics? Sac State's going for it though, right? Yep. Like, tip of cap on that, hiring Bibby, hiring Marion to be their head coach. Like, they're trying, and it's the experiment that everyone's looking at and saying, okay, they're the first to try to do it. Will this work? And they're going to answer that question in the next 5 years.
I think the way it works is if you get these facilities up.
Yep.
Maybe that's it.
Kyle, you're
Maybe
right.
That's it.
You're right. I don't think you can get 40,000 for a Sac State game. I would be shocked if I ever saw that. But if you have a facility that holds 40,000, that's the goal. You know what I mean? That's what you need.
Sure.
And, you continue to push forward and say 40,000. I think at the end of the day, they might settle on some. What they say, 25,000 is what the minimum for the Pac-12. I think they might get to 28 to 30,000 type stadium, something like that. And you get it up, you get those facilities up. So if you're ever in a situation where you can move up, that's something that's not a talking point. You have that in place. So I understand all those concerns about the on-campus. I think the Cal Expo pivot is really good, though. I also think that if it's going to work, if Sac State football is going to become a thing, it's going to be because of the city of Sacramento, not necessarily the student body. The city of Sacramento is going to get behind this team as if it's a professional team. And that's where it would come from. So I don't want to say it doesn't matter that it's off campus, but if it's the city of Sacramento getting behind it and supporting this team, we don't live on campus. You know what I mean? We're driving
very much a commuter campus.
Yeah, we're but even just me and you, I don't live on campus. If I'm gonna go to a game, I'm gonna drive to Cal Expo or I'm gonna drive to Sac State's campus. It doesn't really matter the extra 3 miles for me. I'm driving either way from Elk Grove. So you put it in Cal Expo, it don't really make no bearing on me where it's at, because I'm just going to the games to support Sacramento. So I think I hope they get it done. I think it will work really well. I think that's a great spot for it because of the space that they have and the need for something there at Cal Expo. I hope they're able to get it done.
Money, guys, it's all going to come down to money, because if Sac State had the money to build what they want to build on campus, I think they would have already pulled the trigger on it. I think they need both state entity funds from Cal Expo and Sac State to make this thing happen and get it lifted off the ground. But we won't know much until August 28th.
No doubt. Jake, you the man, big dog. You out here breaking news left and right. That's
Kenny, where'd you go in Scottsdale this weekend?
I was at the W. They had the pool was open at the W in Scottsdale. And then we went to a little just low-key spot, 1111. We went to 1111. Oh, and then I slid by AZ88 real quick too.
Hey, Jake. Hey, do you know? I'm gonna ask you a different question about Scottsdale. Do you know the name of the taco spot that's the literal like hole in the wall that you just go?
Are we talking in Old Scottsdale or in Scottsdale itself?
In
Old Scottsdale is what I'm talking about. But there's
like garage door that comes up. All right, I'm still trying to find the name of it.
I'll figure it out. We'll
just open whenever they want to
together. Guys, can we take a trip, like a team trip to Scottsdale? I think that'd be a great weekend.
I would
absolutely.
I don't want to typically go to Scottsdale. I would go with you, Jake.
Oh no, I'm going with Jake.
Yeah,
I'm going.
I need to go with Jake.
I already know what time it is.
1,000%. Cronkite dudes
turn up, baby. Go Devils.
No doubt. No
Forks
doubt.
up.
Jake Gay, man, we appreciate you, big dog, man. We'll be talking
appreciate you guys. Have a great day. All right.
All right, man.
The best.
Yeah. They gotta win a Super Bowl soon. I need a Super Bowl. I want a 49er Super Bowl.
A dream. I don't want to say it's cooked, but I mean, you talked about it.
What do you know about Super Bowls, Dolphin fan?
I'll just go then. I'll just leave. I don't know.
Just get hella emotional.
I don't
Make a
know.
logical point.
I don't even know about playoff wins. Thanks for asking.
No, but to Jesse's point, keep saying what you were saying. I didn't mean to interrupt you. Sorry. I think I'm going to agree with you.
I don't know. I'm distraught right now. Hold on.
Dang.
No, it's just like you said. They might have just missed out on their best chance. It's like they'll be a good team going forward, but is that Super Bowl window even going to really be open?
I think
They need a lot of things.
I think
to go
this
right.
group is to your point. I don't want to say it's shut because I think they can make a run, but to your point, they need a lot of good things to happen.
Yeah.
But I think with this group, I think that was your best opportunity. Here's the thing that I believe in when you have Kyle Shanahan. I think you reload, you retool. And that's what they try to do with this draft. I think it's going to be another draft next year where they try to get that next wave of 49er players to kind of get them back to that spot. Almost like I said, I think all the great coaches do it. You know, I look at a guy like Mike Tomlin is somebody that I've always talked about. They've had different incarnation of the Steelers.
Sure.
But they've had those different incarnations of the Steelers, different teams that had the talent to win a Super Bowl.
Do you think there are people in Pittsburgh like TC that want Mike Tomlin fired?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, for sure.
How different is this 49ers team from the Andy Reid Eagles? Is the team just always good enough to be around, but just never got it done? And like maybe Kyle Shanahan becomes Andy Reid and gets it done somewhere else?
Yeah, potentially. But the thing is, the Eagles in the immediate future, they didn't, like people are like, yeah, man, we've gone too far. We can't do nothing with the Eagles didn't get better in that situation.
Yeah.
Andy Reid found a better spot.
Well, I'm just saying, yeah, what if that just the 49ers situation here? It's just Shanahan never figures it out.
I believe Kyle Shanahan will win a Super Bowl in his career. I do.
Yeah, I think so too. I don't know if it'll be with San Francisco.
That's the thing. I think he will win one though.
The unbelievable thing is first of all, I meant to bring this up a while back when we had Tristan. I didn't want to derail the conversation. These people that are like, Kyle Shanahan's offense been figured out. Go look at the numbers, man. Like it looked like they were battling uphill last year, but they weren't like a bad offense. Go look. Like the fact that they were able to piece together a productive offense last year, despite how bad it looked at times, is crazy. But anyways, the Trey Lance thing would have gotten most regimes, head coach, GM regimes fired. You trade 3 first-round picks to move up to number 3 in the draft, and you whiff on that pick, all the way whiff where you're trading that player before their rookie contract is up. That's bad. But they got out of it because of the Brock Purdy thing. You can't miss on drafts like they did in 22 and 23. 22 in general. I know they hit on the Purdy pick, which is a huge deal, but the 22 class did not bear a lot of fruit otherwise. The 2023 class, same deal. Now D Winters coming out of nowhere to look like he's going to start is a thumbs up. But largely, if you have back-to-back draft classes like that are mostly unproductive, you don't typically get to you don't open another Super Bowl window. It's really hard to recover from that. But they have enough residual from prior to that, 2019, 20, 21, and they have enough in potentially have enough in the 2024 and 2025 classes. If Malik Mustafa can play, if Ricky Pearsall can play, if Isaac Orendo can play, Renardo Green, Dominic Pooney, and then from this year's class, if Michael Williams is any good, and if CJ West can play, and if Nick Martin turns into a starter, and Upton Stout's a starter, if all that goes their way, then okay, then they have dodged another bullet. Is kind of how I'm viewing this. If they wind up back in the Super Bowl in the next 3 years with Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch at the helm and this general group of players they have, I think it would be damn near a miracle. They need so many things to go right. And maybe they will. That's why they play the games. That's why we watch. That's why we're interested in sports. Right. But I don't not a lot of teams are able to recover from some of the mistakes that Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch have made and recovered from. And I think the 22 and 23 draft classes were those type of mistakes. Like those are huge misses. And maybe they recover from it, but the reason I think they have such a steep climb, and it's not like, oh, they fell off a little bit, but they got to bounce back. Like, no, they have a steep climb because they're getting almost nothing from those two draft classes. So now it comes down to 24 and 25. And can you find outsized production from those classes to make up for what you didn't get in 22 and 23? And that's a tough ask.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I think I also look at next year's draft as being the one that they're kind of circling and trying to make sure they hit on and find they've got to really find the all pros, and it's easier said than done. I used to talk about this with the Seahawks. So I feel the same way when you talk about the 49ers. I got to keep the same energy. They would talk about what they did. I think Schneider was the GM there at the time with the LOB.
Mm-hmm.
They were like, oh yeah, he went out and he knows what he knows what he's doing. You see, he just drafted these guys. Outside of Earl Thomas, I think they were a bunch of 5th rounders, 6th rounders, all this other stuff. It's like you don't just go draft another LOB.
Right.
Like you don't just do that.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with some of the success they've had with some of these guys, finding Brandon Ayuk, finding Deebo Samuel, Brock Purdy, Fred Warner, these guys they found earlier in their regime. To say, yeah, we're gonna go find the next group of those guys. Like that's not necessarily how it works. And they've gone back and forth in that early time, in that like 18, 19, they hit a lot.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? They were hitting on all pros.
Mm-hmm.
Drake Greenlaw was a guy they found that, we loved and all this other stuff. It's not just simple to just say, yeah, they'll just do it again. They might not. They might not do it again and find that group of talent, find that core again.
Yeah. Saying all you have to do is find another George Kittle, like
right.
Draft a Hall of Famer in the 5th round. That's what you're banking on. Right. All right.
Their saving grace, and the reason why I don't slam their windows shut is simply because of the conference they play in. If they were in the AFC with those 4 quarterbacks and those teams, you can't get back. You can't. That's just too much. There are good teams in the NFC, and things can change the drop of dime. Like Chicago might have figured it all out. Now all of a sudden they're a juggernaut. But as it stands right now, there isn't a team that you look at in the NFC and be like, I don't even know if there's a team in the NFC outside of the Eagles that you say, well, you're going to have to. The NFC is going to begin and end with this team. Like you could potentially say that with Buffalo or with Kansas City or with Baltimore, I don't know about Cincinnati, but those guys are going to be there. I don't think those guys are there in the NFC, and I think that makes their climb a little less steep, maybe you would think, because they just don't have that team that is standing, or that group of teams that seems to be standing in their way the entire time. Who knows what the Rams are going to look like once Stanford is gone?
Sure.
So that's the whole thing. But they got to hit on some big time players, on some transcendent players, 1 or 2 at least.
There's a bunch of stuff in the chatty house about how TC was right. The Niners play calling falls off after the scripted plays. Okay, first of all, let's just go through this. That's just not correct. That's not. It's just it's not like that can be your vibe, and you can be like, I know in my soul, anecdotally, that's right. It's not. Yeah. That's not how it goes. And scripted plays are not meant to scripted plays are to see how defenses react to certain things and to set up plays later in the game. Scripted plays are not, we know these 25 things are going to work. Like, no, they're doing this to combat what the defense is doing and to see how they respond to this run. Okay. And what if we do play action off of that? Right. And where did they move? Okay. Now I know I can use that play to set up. It's not like saying a guy's scripted plays he's great at scripted plays, but he's not, like, that doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense. And this idea that they just fall off, that's not right.
You're 100% correct.
Do they now again, because Kyle Shanahan is not a perfect coach, and you will never hear me say that. Do in late game situations, do I think Kyle Shanahan sometimes gets caught between being too aggressive and too conservative, and he's not exactly sure what to do, and he doesn't quite have a plan? Yeah, kind of. I don't think that he's great at adapting, and instead goes, if everybody executes exactly right, this play is going to work. I don't think he builds in enough. Hey, if this guy doesn't win his matchup, I think he trusts his guys too much in certain spots. But the 49ers offense, for an offense that's been figured out, their scheme's been figured out, everybody. The 49ers, we're just going to use yards and points. 2019, 4th in yards, 2nd in points. 2020, disaster year, 15th in yards, 21st in points. That was a lot of Nick Mullins. 2021, 7th in yards, 13th in points. 2022, 5th and 6th. 2023, 2nd and 3rd. Last year, 4th in yards, 13 in points. They were a disaster last year, and they were still 4th in yards and 13 in points. Seems like a pretty damn good coach to me. They sucked last year, and that was their production? Brother, I don't know what to tell you, man. I don't know. I don't understand. Yes, I just laid out a bunch of flaws that Kyle Shanahan has. But all this, he falls off after his scripted plays. What? No, everybody figured him out. Yeah, I think they got some scheme adjustments to make for sure. And I think, are they too reliant on Christian McCaffrey? 1,000%. I think we saw it in 2018 too. I think we saw that Jerick McKinnon was supposed to be the focal point of their offense. This pass catching back that you could, because the whole point has been you can have 21 personnel, 2 running backs, 1 tight end. But Christian McCaffrey and Kyle Juszczyk can become, instead of a running back and a fullback, a wide receiver and a tight end. And George Kittle might split out and be a wide receiver. And now all of a sudden, this packed I formation turns into 4 wide. And you can't put the correct defense on the field. And it's about manipulating what the defense can do, manipulate the numbers, and execute that way. I do think that part of the reason that 2018 particularly wasn't very good out of the gate, even before Jimmy Garoppolo got hurt, was because there was too much dependence on Jerick McKinnon. Last year, I think there was too much dependence on Christian McCaffrey. And I think there was too much dependence on Deebo Samuel being 2021 Deebo Samuel. The motion with Deebo didn't work the same way. It didn't manipulate defenses the same way. I think that's part of the reason they struggled. Deebo Samuel himself just wasn't quite the same player with the ball in his hands. Didn't have that same impact. And despite all of that, they still finished 4th in yards and 13th in points. That's with the defense. It was ass. Not a lot of coaches are picking up the pieces and piecing things together the way Kyle Shanahan did last year. And again, I don't think the guy is perfect. I think the whole end of half play calling thing, where he does the thing where they just run it. Oh, and broke the run. And now it's like, oh God, okay, let's see. Okay, now we're going to throw it. But also we want to make sure we run the last play. I don't like that. But in the grand scheme of things, like, the Niners are not a bad team. And Kyle Shanahan is not a bad coach. There are bad. Matt Eberflus was a bad coach. Kyle Shanahan's not a bad coach.
You're spot on. You're spot on with everything that you said.
Sorry, I just rambled for 20 minutes.
It was perfect.
You
were 100% correct in my eyes with everything that you had to say. And we talked about it a little bit earlier as well. More so with football than maybe a basketball or something like that, or even baseball. Like, the coach's job is to put the game plan and call the right play, put it in place. Once he's out of the quarterback's headset, it's kind of out of his hands. And what I try to gauge some of these coaches on is if they are making the quote unquote right play call, if they've manipulated the defense or set up the defense enough times late in games where they know, okay, this is their tendencies and we can play against that, and we know we can get this open and play in the right call. Somebody's got to take the charge for it. I understand, but missing a block or somebody falling or something like that, that's not Kyle Shanahan's fault. That's not Andy Reid's fault. That's all they can do is put you in position for these guys to execute, for the best chance for them to execute. We looked at And maybe it was, maybe it was, but that last play of the AFC Championship game where Josh Allen, the play call was whatever it was, and there was a jailbreak, and he slid out there. Was that the wrong play call, or did somebody just make a play? Or sometimes you have a play call, and the defense has the right defense to combat that play call.
Yep. Sometimes your dudes are better than their dudes, or vice versa.
Yeah, or the other coordinator guessed right, or looked at it like, I think this might work in this, and it worked. That doesn't mean your ideal, your thought as a coach was wrong or anything else like that. It just got beat in that moment. And yeah, I'm just really confused with the Kyle.
I am too, man.
Mark Lasseray sold his 25% stake in Milwaukee for $3.5 billion. The cost of doing business, if you will, in the NBA is skyrocketing. The Celtics, was $6+ billion, excuse me. The Lakers, of course, were $10 billion. We're seeing this Blazers sale happen. We heard rumors of another one. I don't know if it's public yet, so I'll leave it out there, but there's going to be another NBA team for sale. And Trista asked the question yesterday, what do you think it would take for Vivek Ranadive to sell the Kings? And obviously, I don't know. I have no idea what that man's interest is, what his financial interest is, what his desire to own this professional basketball team is. He obviously has desires to be rooted deeper in Sacramento because of the River Cats partnership. Maybe he's just doing the A's partnership for fun. Maybe he's doing it as a way to grow Sacramento. I'm not really sure. I have no idea what Vivek Ranadive's interests are in this basketball team or in life, to be honest with you. But when you look at, nothing was more stunning than Mark Cuban. Yeah. The Celtics is surprising. The Lakers is surprising. Mark Cuban, it felt like, lived for the Dallas Mavericks. And despite all of the interest he has, Shark Tank, the gazillion other businesses he has, everybody knew him as the Dallas Mavericks owner. And he just said, for whatever reason, I'm out. It's financially very smart for me to get out. I'm out. And it brought the question is, what do you think it would take for Vivek Ranadive to sell the Sacramento Kings? And what would that look like? Because those are two really different questions. The second one is the one I truly can't figure out.
I don't know. Obviously, everybody's got a price. That's what the $1 Million Man taught me.
I learned that as a young man.
Yeah, everybody's got a
especially
price.
Virgil.
Yeah. That poor kid who got the basketball kick. That's the most famous one.
That I can think of, yeah.
That's an all-timer.
I think Rob Van Dam once kissed his feet.
Oh, it was Rob.
It was a young Rob Van Dam, I believe. That
Kissing the
Ted
feet.
DiBiase's
I remember that. I
feet,
do remember that. That's crazy. But everybody's got a price. I do believe that outside of just like this ridiculous price, I think Vivek and the way he owns this team is kind of like how I feel.
Mm-hmm.
I almost like owning an NBA team, being in this club more than I like what I could get for it. Like, I'm already rich. My bank account is already what it is. I'm set for life.
Not paying the second apron stuff.
I was going to say, can I ask, or do we know that Vivek is that?
So I don't know for sure, but isn't he, or his company or whatever, doesn't he have stake in like a lot of Doco?
I think so. Yeah,
So
I believe
think
so.
he owns the building.
I could be wrong. I feel like the Kings have a stake in Doco.
Mhm.
By default, that's Vivek.
Right.
But I wonder if it's one of those things that really smart rich people do where they buy stuff under business. Like it's not Vivek Ranadive or Vivek Ranadive LLC or whatever. It's the Sacramento Kings. The Sacramento Kings. So, but part of that, again, could be completely wrong. Part of that is when you create a valuation for the Sacramento Kings, it's not just Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan and the trademarks and the logos and the uniforms. Most importantly, it's that arena. And then it's the stuff attached to it that they own.
So is that, you're right, but in recent sellings, the arena wasn't involved. Like the people who bought the Lakers, they didn't get crypto. That's
because it's not theirs.
Right. That's
it's
what I'm
not
saying.
Theirs to sell.
So they were able to get that type of price. What you just said is right. Like usually it involved, when you talk about the valuation, it includes the arena.
Right.
That situation, they didn't get the arena.
Right.
And that was their valuation, or that's what they paid for it, right? The Celtics, I don't think they got the arena there either.
I don't think they own that.
Right. So
I think I pay my salary, pal. Don't the Kings own the Golden One Center?
I think they do.
That's not a venue from like AEG or anybody.
No, I think they do. So that's what I'm saying. Like if I don't know for sure. But if you look at the Kings being valuated at, let's just say $5 billion.
Mm-hmm. Got to be close to that.
With that, or somebody says, I want to pay you $5 billion for it.
Mm-hmm.
That's not even including the arena. Potentially. Potentially.
I think it would, though, because it's owned by the Sacramento Kings.
True.
I mean, I guess you could negotiate. So I guess you could negotiate it without the arena.
Right.
But that would be a massive red flag.
Because
that would be a clear indication that the team is moving.
If I was Vivek and I was the Sacramento Kings, I'd be like, okay, I'm not asking for the $10 billion that the Lakers got. Let's go with half of that. And part of that is the people who bought the Lakers didn't even get the arena. So I'm giving you half of what the Lakers sold for, and I want to keep the arena.
Oh, man.
Other people have done
maybe.
it. Celtics did it. Like they bought it for whatever they did, and they didn't get the arena. So it's not unheard of.
No, it's definitely not unheard of, but those aren't arenas that they owned. I guess it all depends on who owns the Golden One Center.
I think the Kings.
Is it the Kings or is it like the city? Does the city owe it?
Yeah, I think the Kings do. I think the Kings do. But the whole point of me bringing that up was he could be looking at his valuation.
The city owns it. The Kings operate it. The arena is part of the broader downtown commons development. Well, we knew that already.
Which I don't know if the Kings or Vivek himself, his business, they have stake in the downtown development, don't they?
Yes. I'm trying to see if this so DoCo is operated by JMA Ventures. Trying to look a little bit more into.
JM says Lacob owns Chase. No chance Kings own Golden One. I don't think they own it like Lacob does, because Lacob privately financed.
Yeah, he did that. He did that thing
that's
himself.
100% thing. I don't think the city financed the arena. I think there's a partnership there, or there was some of Vivek's or the Kings' own money that went into the Golden One Center.
Because Wikipedia has never lied to us. The Sacramento City Council voted approval of public financing in other terms on May 2014. Total cost of the Golden One Center, God, this seems like a bargain, $507 million. I mean, this is also a top 5 arena in the league. Like, that's not, you could feel however the hell you want to about the basketball team. This is one of the best arenas in the entire league. And the city of Sacramento financed its contribution through the sale of bonds, parking, and economic developments. Vivek may not own any of it.
I think
he may own some of the things around it.
So securing the bag, I think this is probably from the internet. It seems like a 50-50 venture. Sacramento Kings contributed approximately $284 million, and the city of Sacramento contributed approximately $223 million.
Okay.
So it might be a joint venture.
Honestly, I'm getting tired. Yeah, there it is. Yeah, the Sacramento Kings. Sure. So what is that?
And
Okay.
Vivek is probably
So what does that mean?
20% of that 200 and something.
So the Kings would have to get approval. Well, I don't know how this would be structured because I don't know. Math is not our strong suit here, but I know 284 million is more than 223 million.
Yes.
Can we check that? Jesse gave us the thumbs up. It is confirmed. Would that now it's a minuscule more in terms of percentages and a dollar figure that high. So who has final say?
My thought would be the Kings.
Because if you include the arena in any sale, to me, that would be like, yeah, this team is going nowhere. If a buyer comes in and goes, I don't want the arena, you can have the arena. I don't care. I'll pay you the same. Yeah, I'll pay you the same amount. You can keep the arena. Yeah. I don't want that headache. Yeah. That team's going somewhere else. And that was the thing I kept thinking about was like, if the Kings, like, who would buy that team to keep it here in Sacramento? Like, if Vivek wanted to sell, if he was done, if he wanted to cash out, who would buy that team? Like, no, yeah, I want to keep that team in Sacramento.
Here's the question I would have for that, though. I'm genuinely don't know, can these things be broken? Isn't there a 30-year lease between the Kings and the Golden One Center? I think so. So even if they wanted to take the team away, it would have to be 20 years down the road, unless it's opt out or something like that.
No, because what when you break a lease, what happens? You have to buy it out.
But you're right. But the city or whoever would have to agree to that buyout.
Correct.
And if they don't agree, you can't take them.
Correct. That's correct. But just like when we voted on this stuff decades ago, you'll have to explain to your residents why you turned down $1 billion to buy a bad basketball team out of this lease. It's easy to say no,
right?
But you'd have to explain, because again, I know this is difficult for us to understand. There are plenty of people that care nothing about that arena, that basketball team, or Maroon 5 performing there. They don't care. And all they want to know is, how does this affect my pocketbook? And the city financed this. You can't tell me that didn't cost me anything. I go to park downtown to go to my favorite restaurant now, and I have to pay on Sundays and Saturdays. I didn't have to used to do that. Now the parking per hour is higher. And someone will always say, well, it's because of the arena. It's because of this. It's because of that. All right. You can find people who don't care.
Yeah. No,
I don't know if there's more of those people or more people like us. Now, again, none of this is to say this is even a topic of conversation, but there's a lot of I didn't think the Lakers were selling. Didn't think the Boston Celtics were selling. Didn't think we're approaching a third of the league selling. I didn't expect that. But here we are.
The other reason why I think Vivek, once again, we're just having a conversation. No indications for somebody just checking in that this is
absolutely
anywhere
none
near what's going on.
Just based on other stuff going on in different leagues and so on.
Just like I said, I think Vivek likes being part of this club, this NBA owners club. I also just have a feeling, I never talked to Uncle V about this. Actually, never talked to him at all. Just met him one time.
Yep.
But I think he wants this in his family. I think he wants this as family legacy and heritage.
I wonder how nervous Kings fans just got. not for the first time in that, like, all of a sudden I believe in Keon's talent or believe in anything. It's for the first time, like, I've tried to give true thought to what I think Keon Ellis could be for this basketball team. And I think Jesse posed the question to, like, is Keon a building block for this team? And I think he can be. I think he is. I think he should be. And I think when Scott Perry talks about what he wants in players that wear this uniform, I think he's describing to a certain degree Keon Ellis. And again, it doesn't have to be your main guy. And I know you and Hammer and Kyle and Jesse had some conversations while I was away, but I don't know where you guys landed on this, but I think Keon should absolutely be a part of the Sacramento Kings future moving forward.
I do too.
And this is from two people who have said you can get rid of anyone on this team. Literally anyone.
I do too. I want to be perfectly clear when I say that. I think Keon Ellis, much like you said, is the type of player this franchise needs. He's in the mold of the head coach and how he likes the game to be played and people to compete. He's in the mold of the way I like to see players out there competing and playing. I want Keon Ellis here. And I think he is somebody that you can help build around. But the conversation kind of came up because we were talking about, I think the insiders were talking, well, Jesse was talking about, like, hey, you may be staring at telling Keon he can't start for 2 years. He's going to be making minimum money. Would he even want to be here because of that? Because he's stuck on the bench behind a Zach LaVine because of a bad contract or whatever. And I said, that's when I'd have that conversation with Keon. It wouldn't be contentious or nothing, but it would be in the vein of what we've talked about. I want willing participants, not hostages, right?
Yeah.
And if I'm Scott Perry, I'm talking to him and I'm saying, hey, this is the reality of what's going on. We want you here. We want you a part of this, but you got to let me know right now if this is something you're not interested in, and we'll look to accommodate you. And then James and I think everybody was kind of like, well, no, the answer is to bench Zach LaVine and start Keon Ellis. And I said,
I don't agree with that.
I don't see it that way.
I don't agree with that.
And then, and this is the scenario I was talking about, I said, well, what do you think if you traded Keon Ellis, which I'm not trying to, but if he don't want to be here, that was the crux of what I was saying. Anybody that doesn't want to be here, let's look to move.
And go.
Like that. I understand why you might not want to be here. You got your reasons. Cool. We're trying to build something where we want people who are invested in trying to make this happen. Let's try and accommodate you. And I said, well, what do you think you could get for Keon Ellis? And James was like, probably a first-round pick. And I said, no disrespect, but if you're true, I don't agree with that, but if you are accurate in that, and Keon is saying he don't want to go or it doesn't want to be here, yeah, like that's the deal I'm making. I get a first-round pick, because then I laid out the scenario where you guys already don't think the Kings are going to be any good. So you don't think they're any good. You get a first-round pick from them just being bad. You can move on from Keon Ellis on a bad team and get an extra first-round pick that helps you in your rebuild and what you're trying to do asset-wise and roster building-wise. Once again, I don't want to see him go, but how are you in a position not to do that? No disrespect for a guy like Keon Ellis, who, as much of a building block as he is, as much as I love him, I think you can find those type of players for a good deal and cheap and all this other stuff in the draft. Keon himself was undrafted. If you got guys that know what they're doing, you can find guys like that. Like you're able to add an asset, a first-round asset in that situation. Yeah, I'm 100% open to that. And that's kind of where the conversation was.
Yeah, I think Hammers, a first-round pick seems like a reach for Keon.
You would think it would be like a good team. So like, would the Nuggets give you a first-rounder for Keon? I could see a world, maybe.
I mean, I guess if there's a good basketball team with multiple first-round picks.
Why would they give you a first, though, if he doesn't even have a contract extension right now?
The understanding that he's going to sign a contract with you.
I guess. But
yeah. I mean, it's that.
I think you just let him go to free agency.
I also don't think that the Kings. I also don't think that Keon's future with the Kings is cooked because the extension didn't work out this offseason. I think there are plenty more ways for things to work out for Sacramento and Keon. And I have to believe from the little I know of Scott Perry and the way that he moves, if Keon Ellis is a part of Sacramento's future, he knows that already.
I agree.
And I, again, could absolutely be wrong. I don't think I am. I think Keon Ellis will be a King, and I think that that's been discussed. Hey, we're trying to make a few moves financially that will put us in a better long-term position with you on this team. I know that's not comforting because it means you can't get your money right now. You're going to get your money. You're going to get it from us. We do not want you to go anywhere. This is a very simple timing transaction. If we sign you in 6 months versus signing you right now, that gives us more flexibility. Again, I could be wrong, but I don't feel like Scott Perry moves in an underhanded way. I don't feel like Scott Perry moves in a vindictive way. And I don't feel like if you're talking about hostages versus volunteers, I don't feel like Scott Perry is going to start off his time as the general manager of the Sacramento Kings in a way that creates divisiveness with a player who could potentially be really important for them moving forward.
I agree. And I agree with also what you said about, I think they've already had the conversation and they are already on the same page. That doesn't mean Keon is like thrilled with the situation that he's in, but I also don't think he like wants out. Like, I think he's open at the very least to working with the Kings, working with Scott Perry, and trying to be part of what they're trying to do. Brian in the chatty house says trying to find a guy when you already have one is a wild, though. Quit with door number 3, take the prize you got. Tyler, he says to try and draft a player like Keon. He's already in the building, shoots 40% from 3 and plays defense. I don't mean to be dismissive or disrespectful to Keon. You guys, I'll explain it again just because I value him that much, but you guys know how I feel about Keon. I love that dude. I want him here. You can go on any roster in the NBA and find a player like that. You can. That doesn't mean it's not valuable. That doesn't mean anything. I think
Kings fans would argue there isn't one here. There hasn't been one here.
Then but you can go find that guy. Like Haywood Highsmith, he doesn't shoot at the same level as Keon Ellis, but he's the type of guy you're talking about. He shoots 38% from 3. This is a defender, 3-and-D guy, can guard multiple positions at, what is he, 6'5".
Mm-hmm.
I just randomly went to different rosters. Abaji on the Raptors. That's another guy that you can just find. Lou Dort and Caruso were undrafted guys. Like, they're not like, you have to find the right guy and find it. Keon Ellis was undrafted. The Kings found this. You can find those type of guys all over the place. And what I'm saying is, if you're getting assets in return that can help with your roster building and help with you trying to rebuild and remold this roster, I wouldn't have. There's damn near nobody on the roster that I would let get in the way of that.
Mm-hmm.
And Keon Ellis is included in that. Like, I wouldn't not get assets and try what I needed to do to help build this roster because I didn't want Keon Ellis to go. Mm-hmm. If he wanted to go.
Mm-hmm.
If he wants to say, we're not even having this conversation. Like, if he's saying that he's committed, which I think we both agree, he's here, he's locked in, he's with Scott Perry, and the Kings want him. I don't want to say I'm not listening to no trade offers, but I'm not listening. I don't have any interest. Even if the Nuggets do call, it's like, hey, we'll give you. Nah, he wants to be here. He's part of what we're doing. So that's the caveat in looking to move on from him, was if he didn't want to be here.
And there's, at least right now, no indication that that's reality, mm-hmm. right? That is a hypothetical scenario. And I think when you break down the different things that Keon Ellis potentially does, for me, it's one of the main reasons, if the reason there shouldn't be a conversation about Keon in place of Zach LaVine in the starting lineup is, I believe he can be a greater volume shooter. I mean, he shot I think he went up from 4 times the year prior to, I believe it was just shy of 6 last year. It's terrific. That's not a starting 2-guard shooting numbers. Like he needs to be well into the double digits of shot attempts, and you can hype the 43% from three. Okay, like as long as that volume is there, because there's been a lot of talk about Doug and 53s and Domas and DeMar and these different guys that don't shoot enough. Well, you can't make the argument that putting Keon Nelson starting lineup is going to fix that, especially if you're taking Zach LaVine out. So regardless of what his role is, whether they find some way to have him in the starting lineup next year or as a key cog coming off the bench, I think the volume of shots he takes has to go up, both in the 2-point range and in the 3-point range. I think he should also be a lot more aggressive in getting to the basket, because I think he does that pretty effectively. And he can get to the foul line. You can't remove a 20-plus point per game scorer just because you don't like him from the starting lineup.
I agree.
That's like I think there's this. I think there's this idea, and this is fresh in my mind, and I can say all of this because today's Wednesday. James will be with us in a couple hours. He'll be with us at 3:00, hour and a half, and I can bring this back to him. Like, James has a specific type of basketball player that he likes. It's not the Zach LaVine type, and if you were listening today, it's not the Cam Thomas type, and I don't know exactly what type of player Cam Thomas is, but I know what type of player Cam Thomas is on the Brooklyn Nets. And I don't know that that's necessarily the same thing, because if Jordy Fernandez is out there telling me like, look, man, you're going to have to cook. We don't have a lot of options for you. You're going to be our primary scorer. We can work some things, maybe try to move the ball around, maybe try to get to Claxton, maybe try to do these different things. That's all fine, but you're our primary scorer. That's the role that has been put upon him. And if he does that in a way that's effective for his numbers, clearly the game plan establishes this isn't the best basketball team. So to frame someone as if we know exactly who they are because of the way they play on a specific team, one that we all acknowledge it's one of the two teams under the cap, they're not very good, then it's a bit unfair to go, yeah, Cam Thomas just isn't a good basketball player. It's not conducive to winning. I don't know that that's necessarily true. I just know that Cam Thomas plays a certain way on Brooklyn. Zach LaVine is an offensive player. And, oh, man, how many times he hasn't won championships? He hasn't won playoff series. He hasn't done that. Okay, it doesn't mean he's a bad basketball player. We've got to make up our mind on whether that Chicago team he was on was good or not, because I don't think people can decide. They just use whatever fits their argument. Zach LaVine's a good ball player. And there isn't a player good enough to take him out of the starting lineup for. Keon Ellis is absolutely good enough to play a really, really high level of basketball. Keon Ellis is good enough to be slotted as the either literal or figurative sixth man for the Sacramento Kings. And he's good enough to be in the conversation for that award at the end of the year. Of course, he can only win it if he starts the final 20 games of the season and is effective like Naz Reid did. Naz Reid, very good basketball player. But Keon should be an integral part of what Sacramento is doing moving forward this year and beyond.
Absolutely. And I'll say this, maybe I lean more towards play. Like if I was a coach, if I was Doug Christie, I lean more towards being a player's coach or protecting the players a little bit, because I would look at the guys that are on this roster, and if I've had conversations with them, if I've gone through training camp and, we're in a good space and they understand what I expect of them and what we're trying to establish as a group, I probably would, and rightfully so, not like, oh, I guess this is just what you have to do. Like, no, legitimately in real life, give LaVine, DeRozan, those guys the benefit of the doubt. Let's try it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to start with trying this out. We had a conversation. I told you what I was looking for out of you, what this team needed, what this roster needed. I'm not here to talk about your past. I'm here to talk about right here and right now, what I'm looking for, what I think makes us a better basketball team and help us win games. And you said in that conversation, you were all in. I'm going to give you a realistic shot to find out. I'm not going to say, well, the DVOA says, I think that's a football term, but the DVOA says I should be starting a better defensive lineup. So Zach LaVine, I don't care what you've accomplished in this league and what you've done in this league. I'm putting you to the bench, and you just like it. I'm not going to do that. I think that's not how you treat or handle guys of that stature, at least right off the top. If we're going through the season and I've seen it, and it's not working out the way that I hoped or that we hoped, and we're not the team that I hoped we could be, then we can revisit that conversation, and I can see if I can make adjustments with the lineup that way. But to start everything off, I'm going to give those guys the benefit of the doubt to try and see if we can figure it out with them.
Back here with our man Connor Sutton, we determined if anything was jumping off around Sacramento, Connor was there.
Yeah,
it's just the way it is. Like if you think, yo, I'm at the spot tonight and Connor's not there, you're not at the spot.
That's right.
Is that why there was just sirens out the window? Is that what you mean?
No,
is that the spot you're talking about?
Yeah, you too hot. You too hot, man. They coming to cool the spot off, man. That's all it is. Connor, for purposes of this conversation with the Sac Republic.
That's right. That's right.
Man, you guys got some exciting things jumping off over there. We finally saw the groundbreaking. You've been around this organization for a long time, Connor. How did it feel to finally, be at that ceremony where the shovels hit the ground and the logos were out there at the rail yards?
Yeah, it was incredible, guys. Like, long time coming. Obviously, there's been a lot of ups and downs with the stadium for the Republic, but to finally get there, and the way now it's done with Wilton Rancheria being the majority owner, returning to their native lands to do this, something for the community. There's so much just awesome storylines behind this. Obviously, Wilton Rancheria is a big part of it, but for the club too, it's been a lot of ups and downs. We've had MLS, we lost MLS, and now finally actually something going in the ground. It is just so exciting, a little sense of relief, but mostly just excitement to be at this point and to have a group like Wilton to be able to back the city and really care about this community and returning to their native land all in one. It's next level, guys. I'm fired up for the club, for our fans, for the city of Sac, because I don't know if I hadn't been out to that area really. It's a huge plot of land. Like, it is massive. And to be able to see that get developed over the next, 10 years is going to be huge economically for the city, entertainment wise. But obviously for the club and for the soccer team, like, it's getting to play at a place we get to call home is amazing.
Now, Connor, I think you're born and raised in this city, right? You're from Sacramento?
Yes, sir.
Damien the same way, myself. Guys, how long have they been talking about the rail yards? Probably
since I was 2.
Yes, we're going to do something with the rail yard. We're going to develop it, and now it's finally happening. And for the Republic in that stadium to kind of be, I know Kaiser's got their thing going on too, but I mean the Republic are kind of opening this whole wave of this second downtown or this extension of downtown. That's so exciting, and I think that's so dope that the Republic are going to kind of be the ones spearheading this whole renaissance of this other undeveloped area of downtown.
Yeah, I mean, like, there's 2 lanes, right? The development side, the economic side is awesome, and finally to see this area that's just been empty getting developed. I agree with you guys. Like, I can't tell you how many times I drove to Arco Arena growing up, and you drive on 5 and you look to the right and you see just that empty plot of land. Slowly starting to see things going in. You mentioned Kaiser, but I think maybe there's a few things that have been finished, but having the stadium be like the first focal point in that area, it's going to be next level, man. And just not even just for soccer games, but for concerts as well. It's going to be a pretty awesome outdoor concert venue in the summertime, in the spring and the fall. So it's going to be awesome. And then from the soccer aspect, there's a lot. This is one of the biggest and largest youth soccer areas in the country. There's so many kids who play youth soccer. So to be able to go to a stadium that is built for soccer, and they can see players come up through the academy, like your guys' boy Davian Kimbrough, who, by the way, is killing it right now. He like be able to see that is something that could happen to you if you work hard enough, being from this city and from this area. It's so cool, and it's going to really, I think, change soccer. And I know we've had this conversation, guys. We got the World Cup coming next year into North America in 26. I think that maybe reinvigorates some soccer fans. And I also think there are a lot of people who still in this city and in this area have never been to a Republic game. Maybe this new stadium is a chance for them to come out. Like myself, was not a soccer fan before I started working for the Republic. I know many people who've never been to a game until I invite them out. They come and they're like, wow, this is a really cool atmosphere. It's so different from other sports. And they kind of they buy in. And I think that's going to happen in a real way, even more than what we currently have now. And that's what I'm really excited for. Again, with the World Cup, I just think the growth of soccer in this area can continue to blossom and continue to expand. Even now with this stadium getting put in the ground.
Real quick, Dim, I want to just ask Connor and get his specifics on it. I'm of the impression the location of the stadium is right behind those condos, right? It's on the other side of those condos that are already up there. Is that correct? That's where it's going to be at?
A little further away from it's further away from the freeway, from I-5. So the farthest side, it's like North B, and I think 7th Street is kind of what's there currently. But yeah, that's the location right now. And that's, there's going to be a lot of development that comes, I think, not just even in that empty area, but in that industrial area too. I think it's going to completely revitalize that area over time too. But yeah, that's the area. You'll see some signs up. Actually, you're going to see bleachers and things going up quickly here soon. But like that, you'll see some signs if you drive out that way to see exactly what the plot of land it is.
Connor, let's open up a gaping wound here. How real is like MLS stuff? Is that just a thing of the past that doesn't need to be discussed again and we're just moving forward with the Republic and the stadium? Or is this something fans can keep in the back of their head?
It's a good question, right? And it's obviously we're in the USL Championship right now. We have a great fan base. We don't really need MLS. We feel like we are a top tier team in the USL Championship. I mean, shoot, we knock teams out of the Open Cup from MLS almost every year. However, this is a 12,000 seat stadium and it has the ability, and we're building it with the infrastructure to expand to above 20,000 if that bid does come. But, right now we're just focused on USL Championship. But we, I don't necessarily think it's not a realistic expectation, but I also think that for so long we were worried about that and not worried about doing what's best for the club. And now in the last 3 to 4 years, we're worrying about what's best for the club right now and not waiting for this league that may or may not come. We're worrying about what we do as a club. We're worrying about getting the stadium built, 12,000 being the best USL stadium. You guys maybe haven't been to a San Jose Earthquakes game. I think it's going to be a better stadium than what San Jose Earthquakes have in Major League Soccer. I went there a couple months ago and seeing what we're planning to do, I think it's going to be better. And I also think it may not have quite as many people, but I still think it's going to have the footprint. It's going to have the feel of Sacramento. You're going to be able to feel Sacramento food. You're going to be able to see various elements to the rail yards. You're going to be able to see just some real cool Sacramento ties throughout the stadium that I'm excited about. So it's not necessarily not real, but honestly, in full disclosure, we are fully working on just making sure we build the best stadium we can right now.
I love that. I love that.
Bill Belichick in that answer too. We're just focused on focus on the stadium. Yeah, we're just focused on what we're doing.
Well, the dope thing, and maybe you can enlighten me a little bit about this, Connor, too. Some of the things that I've read and heard maybe in the last 12 to 18 months is the USL Championship is positioning themselves to be that type of elite league, like on par or higher than MLS when you talk about relegation and stuff that they have planned for that. And you may get to a point by the time the stadium opens or maybe a couple years after that where there's no need to look to go to the MLS because USL Championship League is on par or higher than MLS with some of the things that they're doing right now.
Yeah, I mean, USL is, I would say 5 years ago, it was a dramatic difference between USL and MLS. There's a lot of teams that are building brand new stadiums, state of the art. They may be in a little bit smaller markets, but like you said, like a lot of players bounce back and forth between MLS and USL Championship. It happens all the time. The level of play is relatively close. Now, you got your Messis, you got trying to think who just signed. Thomas Mueller, who just signed to Vancouver, like these big international names who come over and play. And that's just growing the game even more over in the US. And it's grown so much now where, in England, there's like 6-7 tiers of leagues with promotion and relegation. There's no reason why in the US we can't get to that point. You're right. The promotion relegation piece in the USL is in the works and being planned. And that has its own elements of being a differentiator from MLS. You can't be a last place team and stay in the league. It has financial ramifications that are massive. And so that means that if you're at the bottom of the table, those last 3 games are very important. You do not want to go down. Not how many times have, teams been eliminated from playoff contention in other sports, and you don't really pay attention as much anymore. And in soccer with promotion and relegation, every game matters.
This might be a little reactionary, both of you. Are there more soccer fans here than baseball fans?
Kenny, I want to hear your answer first.
I do think it's about even. I think it's about even. I think I had a son who he stopped playing soccer, but he was in the whole Elk Grove CSD soccer, and that's when it opened my eyes about some of the youth soccer that's going on, the amount of participation, the amount of club teams that they have. So that's when I was like, soccer is massive in this Sacramento County. So I think that there's a big appetite for that. The A's notwithstanding, I think in the right situation, I think baseball is kind of on par with the two. I think they're both a little – they haven't reached the basketball status yet, but I think they're both right there bubbling. And the fact that the Republic were able to get the stadium done and put their footprint on the city and do what they did building this stadium, these are the type of things that kind of convert normal people into soccer fans and get people to go to these games and represent, just because, hey, the Republic, they're Sacramento, they got this new stadium, we rocking with these guys, we're going to follow them. So this is a great opportunity to grow the game and grow the brand of the Sacramento Republic with what they're doing with this new stadium.
Yeah, that's a good answer. I'm glad I let you go first. No, I would say I think it's probably pretty close. I think baseball fans skew a little older, soccer fans skew a little younger. So that leads you to believe that maybe soccer will surpass baseball in this area. I think that people just care about teams who want to be in Sacramento. Like they rep Sacramento.
Yeah.
Like, even the Kings, I know they've been here for a long time, but they didn't originate here. The Republic's the only team that actually started here in Sacramento.
Talk.
I think that the A's, it's a whole other situation, right? They're not really repping Sacramento. People feel that. We love Sacramento. All 3 of us from here. If you rep Sacramento, like I would be all in. And so that's the thing, is like, I've always thought about, as a growing up as a Giants fan, right? If a team came to I remember having this conversation. If a team came to Sacramento, what would I do? Would I change? And obviously the A's here, but it's like, it's temporary. It doesn't feel the same. Like, it's not the same thing. But I just think, as a loyal Sacramentan, like, the teams that care about this place, really want to make an impact in this place, I think they're going to do better because of that. I think is within all of us who are born and raised, and even some people who come here. We all care about Sacramento. We want teams who represent Sacramento and truly want to be a part of Sacramento.
Connor, there are some kids in the game who don't understand that this is about our city. There are some people who actually take offense to our love for Sacramento.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you pointed that out the way that you did. Do we have an estimated completion date on the stadium?
Yes, sir, guys. 2027. And we're hoping to be ready for the 2027 season in March. So that's about
Bruno Mars is opening, right? Like, that's just kind of how it works. What's the plan here? I know we've had discussions about how the stadium is opening. What are we doing?
Listen,
Bruno, the weekend, what is
Bowl.
I heard Kenny's doing a 10-minute. He's doing a 10-minute stand-up to open. Actually, is what I heard.
Oh, wow!
I would just be standing out there. I ain't doing nothing.
It's not a stand up; it's a stand out.
Yeah,
That's what it is.
I also don't know Bruno Mars. Is he allowed to go outside of Vegas these days? I'm not sure, but
Well,
price
the bag
is
is
right.
big enough. He is. And knowing who owns this stadium, I think they can get it done.
Right.
I think they can get it done.
yeah.
Oh,
No, but I think I think it's going to be the premier. I mean, think about if you want to go to a summer concert in town, you got to drive quite a ways, or to go to one of these concert series. So having one in town, I think it's going to be really massive. And so I'm excited. I'm excited to see what concerts look like. I'm excited to see what a home match looks like in a whole new experience. Like, we have a pretty good experience on match day right now. A lot of good atmosphere, good crowds, but I think this is going to be so much better for so many reasons. It's going to be a way better experience for fans. I mean, seeing some of the like locker room renderings that I've kind of gotten to peek at, the players are going to feel some type of way about that, and they're really going to, I think, put on for the city even more.
So just a heads up, Connor, that's going to be the toughest ticket in town. Kenny is going to beg for sideline passes, field passes.
I was just about to say.
See,
I already see my seats on the rendering. I see my seats. I see my seats. That's right. That's what your boy gonna be.
It's like a rite of passage for everyone who joins this show, whether it's David Patrick, Coach Mary, Mike Bibby. Casey's got to beg for something, Connor. So just be aware.
Connor know where to put me. You know where to put me. Come on,
I got you. Hey, but yeah, those field suites are going to be awesome. Right down on the field like that. It's going to be electric. Yeah, I got you guys.
What's up, Jesus?
I got you guys.
We're going to be there.
I'm still trying to get to the old barn before I get out here. I went to the Hughes game. I haven't been to Cal Expo.
Cry when Cal Expo shuts down.
Hey, the team is solid this year. We got a win in PKs last night. So I feel like we got a deep playoff run in us. We're in second place right now. So we only got a few home games left for the regular season. So let me know. I'm sure we'll have some playoff games too.
Man, they come. We got to somebody go check on Connor. You don't hear that?
Oh yeah, damn.
Somebody check on him.
Damn.
Like, what hood does Connor live in? Like
Connor's office in Meadowview.
Connor from the other side of the tracks. We've had 2 sirens since Connor been on with us.
I'm right on J Street, guys. I'm sorry.
Connor, man. Goodness gracious.
I'm getting out there before the season ends. Straight up, man. Because I have been following. It was kind of like a 500 team throughout the year, but they started to play well as of late. Like you said, second place in the USL standings. So playoffs are imminent. I want to get there before the playoffs. I want to go to a playoff game, but I want to get there before the playoffs. So I got to get out there before the season ends.
We haven't lost in 2 months.
That's fire.
Yeah. We didn't give up a goal in the month of July.
Come on, man.
That's fire.
It's crazy.
I got to pull up on my people.
The Republic games are so much fun, man. I don't spend nearly enough time at Cal Expo. Connor, we love you, man. We appreciate you. Congratulations. This is all super exciting, and let's stay tapped in with each other as this playoff run starts.
Yeah, absolutely. Appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Row AAA right. Seat 1 and 2. That's where your boy
ignore this, man. Put him in the local guy seats. Way up at the top of Cal Expo. Put him in the local guy seats up there.
Hey, he's got good seats. He's always somehow finds a way to get good seats. Always. I don't know.
Sometimes I wonder who is the local guy. Like, why does he know everybody?
Is he really affiliated with Arby's?
Like, he's Mr. Arby. Like, hey, stay safe, Connor.
Thanks, guys. I'll let you know.
Out there, man.
There you go.
We appreciate you, brother. Thanks.